Welcome, everybody. I'm Dustin Davis, and this is the Daily Dose of Dopamine. I'm here with two wonderful people. What's on your mind?
You're blasting. That's huge. Dustin Davis here. I'm Robert. That's Susan.
Hi, guys. This is so fun.
I'd say joy's on my mind because what many don't know, because they haven't seen the crew here, and we're only missing Rachel. We'll have to have her another time. The four of us met for weeks on end like this, fairly early in the pandemic. And I don't know, what was your recollection of that time? We did that for months.
I don't even think we had the word yaks yet.
No. It was still improv to improve PD, that big long thing.
One of my remembrances was how relaxed and delightful you were, Dustin. And I assumed you'd done improv like for your whole life, since you were in high school or something. I was flabbergasted to learn this was new for you.
Yeah, I think what I learned from you all, because I didn't really know anything about improv before, was that I was improving all along in life. And that was a key takeaway for me. And I think that helped a lot because that time we were meeting was kind of at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I really needed that connection, and I'm really grateful for you giving that.
You're right. The isolation bore out this program in so many ways. And just to give context, Dustin is a fellow PhD student with me at UNLV, and that's where we met. And I'm blessed to know the guy. He's saved my life in this program, and he's just a wonderful guy. I like what you said about the recognition of you've been doing it your whole life. To me, that hopefully it relieves some of the tension that people feel like, oh, I could never, because they see improv as a distant island. And when you realize it's already inside of you, it just has to be dusted off.
I love it in your second film, I think, when your dad says, you're in the car with him and he says, we're doing improv right now.
That's right.
We don't know what we're about to say to each other. And that concept is incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
People who might not have ever thought of that, which is everybody.
I love what you said there about it being freeing. It's also incredibly reassuring when you learn that you can really trust yourself to adapt in the situation and be resilient if things don't turn out the way that you thought they might. That's huge.
It is, because it's taking away the if they don't turn out right. Things are not going to turn out the way we want to a lot of times, right? I think resetting that expectation and then recognizing when they don't, I have a tool at my disposal. I have the resilience within me based on this, this mindset, this yes and, this active thing that I don't just know philosophically, but like you say, I've practiced.
Yeah, and it's a gift you've given yourself by virtue of the practice, and beginning to establish connection, communication, eventually trust. We all learn each other, even if it's Zoom. You could still have real relationships.
I think that was the testing ground, one of the many testing grounds of COVID. Could this be done via Zoom? Is there a reasonable connection here? People often say at the end of our improv sessions, gosh, what would this be like live? And I certainly get that. There's the human yearning to connect, and improv in person is a different animal. I always tell people it's highly sensitive to a raised degree. It's wonderful. And at the same time, I tell people, look, most of us probably wouldn't know each other if we didn't say yes to this opportunity. Yes. And, think of the people from around the world we've gotten to play with because of saying yes and to what previously was thought couldn't be done.
Yeah, what you're doing. Go ahead. Yeah, Susan, go ahead.
Did you know that we had a woman who joined us for months who from England? She would set her alarm at like 2 a.m.
I did hear that about Robert.
Isn't that like awesome? And then we actually changed the time to be a little more friendly to our friends on the other side of the pond. But, that said so much about how this community was built and could never have been built without this format.
Yeah, this format really allows, that span of distance to become, almost non-existent because we can see each other. And I know that people feel like, oh, well, maybe if I'm connecting through the computer, I won't feel the same. But it makes me think about you and me, Robert. You walked in and we had that first class together, and it wasn't long after that we had to go online because of COVID. And you and I formed our entire friendship, a deep friendship, almost entirely over Zoom. And we continue to meet every week. And I can tell, that it's just been so meaningful despite not physically being in the same space.
I could say the same for you and Susan in that regard, that people think and see me and you, Dustin, is very close. See me and you, Susan, is very close, and wouldn't recognize that we probably met in person maybe, less than 5% of the time that we've met, right?
Yeah. And Dustin, the first and only time I saw you in person, I didn't know you were going to be there. Was it that ball game?
Baseball game.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked up and there you were, and it like didn't register in my brain. There's no box around you.
Yeah.
It really did. It threw me.
That sensation, and I've had that a couple times, of meeting someone you've only met on Zoom is still so weird to me. And it's only going to continue because I know I'm expanding this program and meeting more people on Zoom. And eventually they're going to come up and say hi to me. I'm going to be like, who are you?
I don't recognize you without that background.
Yeah, you know what the big thing that throws me is people's height. They're either a lot shorter or taller than I thought they were going to be. They're never what I thought they were going to be.
That is true for me with both of you guys.
Yeah. We tower.
Yeah.
Dustin, it's been 5 minutes, so you get the final word. Thanks for bringing us in. Take us out.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's just helped me remember how much I enjoyed the time with you that we had when we were meeting every week. So it's so good to be back with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to the Daily Dose of Dopamine.
Well,